You may have got lucky this time, but there's no way this Bulldog is going to stay chained up for long.
WCW Tag Team Champions, the Outsiders. No, sorry, Peter.
What?
Spoiler.
Are you?
The
right.
Steiner brothers.
Sorry,
with
the
Ted DiBiase
Steiner brothers, yes.
taking on the Outsiders, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash with Dusty Rhodes.
Dusty Rhodes. I mean,
Dusty.
I love the styling at this point. I love his disgusting little tufty hair, his little mullet at the back. I love his red leather jacket he's got on. Is there a figurine with Dusty Rhodes in a red leather jacket? Because I'd very
There is not. I do have one of him in a black waistcoat with jeans on, which I think is as close as it gets. I don't think there are any suited Dusties either when he's doing commentary, which is a shame. But yeah, this one you cannot get yet. I mean, it seems like the number of times they've plundered the NWO for action figures, you'd think this would have been one, but no, not yet. The fools. I love it that he's got this look and he's also got little tinted driving glasses on. And it's like I've got to be young, I've got to be young. And you go, what would the young people wear?
Verifocals.
Yeah, they'd wear those lovely tinted driving glasses like a Stuart has got. Stuart, my friend Stuart with the driving glove. You know, just a little tell to go, actually, ladies, I'm not in my 20s. I'm in my mid-50s. Someone does hold up a sign that says, Dusty, you suck and your son is gay. And
what a shame.
I presume it's about Goldust. Goldust is not gay, mate. He's everything.
He's a pansexual alien.
Everything.
Yeah. Dusty Rhodes had sex with an alien, and this is what happened.
It's just a big shower of stardust bursting out of one of her many vaginas. A long orange egg. And out came Goldust.
And it felt like Parker beans, Daddy. Getting my junk up there in that alien.
I'll tell you something, Dustin. When you came out, you were as long and looked like a sausage, like a pork sausage, but it was the colour of beans. Oh, the perfect thing. Scott Hall talks. Someone else then holds up a sign that says WCW HIV plus. And I saw that sign again and again. And
what's his
do you know what I think it is? I think there's the signs of the culture war to come in having WCW set up an outsider group in the NWO and then saying to people, do you want to be part of traditional way we've always done it? Or do you want to be with these exciting, shouting, weird men? And what you end up with is after a year or 2 years of doing it, you end up with people holding up signs that say WCW HIV plus.
Right,
and
okay.
It felt to me very much like this is the moment that we live in, just done in wrestling, that you make people hate the establishment so much that they then, and then you end up with that on your show. That's
well done,
absolute
everyone.
Disaster.
Well done.
Ted DiBiase comes down. He's been managing the Steiners. That makes no sense. They were a really bad fit together. They didn't have any chemistry at all. No. Scott Steiner, as he comes down, I mean, he finds it incapable not to be angered by everything on the world. He knows he's being filmed, doesn't he? And yet he catches eye of the camera and he starts fuming like he's really annoyed about it. Scott, mate, dial it down. You must have known you were going to be filmed at some point. You must have known.
Stop filming me.
So angry. And Rick Steiner comes out, he goes in a bit of a tear, the usual thing, and the Steiners do their pose, and then suddenly Scott slams down onto Rick's head, and then he knocks DiBiase around and he gives the too sweet hand signal to the Outsiders.
I would say that I felt like the crowd could have been hotter immediately after, because presumably you can only do this turning on your brother kind of thing once in your career, or maybe twice. It's quite a big thing, and I felt like they sort of tossed it away a little bit. I don't know.
They did. I think there were some funny bits about the presentation of it, and one of the things they do is that when Scott Steiner has turned on Rick, he doesn't just walk to the back, or it doesn't immediately lead to Scott Hall doing his razor's edge and pinning Rick Steiner.
Yeah.
There's a really funny thing where Scott Hall goes to pin him and he gets a 2 count and Rick is up. And even though it's just one axe handle from Scott Steiner, it's a bit like you should probably go straight into your finishing section here.
Yeah.
And then it would seem like it was a real sort of like no one was expecting, and they can really get into that. The other thing they do is that Scott goes back onto the apron like a tag team partner and is waiting there. Well, you've got to get out of that situation because you hit him on the head and then you're like, is he still his tag team partner? Is he going to... And it was just a really confusing thing. And I think as an audience, you watch that and just go, hang on, I thought he turned on him, but now he's waiting for him. Is he going to turn him again?
Why is he
if he
adhering
tags?
to the rules at this point?
Yeah, I mean, especially, and Scott Steiner never seemed like a man who followed the rules. So for him to do that, you sort of go, oh, he's had to do that for some reason. It's just a bit... He's a man's man, Tony Schiavone says about Rick Steiner as well. And I thought, if by that you mean transphobe. Yes, that's very accurate. There's a bit where Scott Hall tries to get Rick up for the outsider's edge, his razor's edge, and can't do it, and he has to do it again. And again, that's sort of bits where you go, oh, everything that could have sort of gone a little bit off with this turn is going off. He then gets it, and he pins him, and the outsiders win the tag team belts. Schiavone goes on a really mad run suddenly then of calling Scott Steiner new names. He says, Scott Steiner, Mr. Bicep, Mr. Glory Hound, Mr. Hog. Comes out.
Mr. Hog.
Mr. Hog.
Mr. Hog.
Don't know. It's all a bit mad. Scott Steiner, I think, it was a freshening up, and the Steiners had been a tag team for as long as you could remember. I think this would have had just a lot more weight, A, if it had been done a little bit more neatly, but B, I think, had there not been quite so much interference and people running in, because it makes everything just seem a bit like it's chaos and everyone's just racing around. If you'd have had this in a show back in like 1993, this would have been the biggest thing imaginable. And it just sort of shows how you can dilute it down by constantly going, you weren't expecting that every 2 seconds. Yeah. How when something genuinely unexpected comes along, it can slightly get lost in the mix. What a shame. The best bit comes up now, Petey. We get an advert for Uncensored 1997. This is as bad as anything WCW ever did. And I get the impression they spent millions of pounds on it.
It's basically like they've asked Frank Zappa. They've nailed Frank Zappa through the frontal lobe, through the frontal cortex, and he can't write even like music for humans anymore. And he's gone mad.
Even by Frank Zappa's standard.
Yeah, and they went, Frank, they've explained what the Transformers movie's about, and they've asked him to do some music for a Transformers movie, and this is what comes out.
So the other thing, Pete, this is I clipped this out, and what I did was I left a little bit of the run up to how it starts. Because if you hear it out of context, you might think, oh, it feels like a bigger thing. They just throw to this like it's going to be normal.
And that'll break his heart. That'll break his heart to see this.
That's what's going to break his heart right there. That's what I mean, to see his brother
hug the outsiders.
It all kind of makes sense to me right now, and I'll tell you about that after I tell you about our next pay-per-view in March, Uncensored.
Giants, rulers, diamonds, flags, dogs, hearts, flyers, outsiders, madmen, stars, WCW, NWO, Uncensored! Kick, smash, fly, trash, punch, throw, bash, it rules are for fools. It's WCW, NWO, Uncensored! Sunday, March 15th, live and only on pay-per-view. What the hell was that?
This is done in 1998.
I know. It sounds
like
it's
1973. What's even sort of madder about it is they have these sort of flash frames of the WCW stars in impossibly expensive
like
sort of
sets,
background,
like movie
backdrops.
Sets sort of thing, yeah.
DDP in a sort of like house of cards, and there's Rick Steiner behind a white picket fence with a dog barking next to him. And I was looking at it and going, I've never seen these before. I think they only exist for this, that they've gone, we've got this video, can we have some music over the top? And it's come back and they've gone, well, no, of course I'm not happy, but we're literally on in an hour. They look like
the sets that they used in. Remember when we did that for WrestleMania, the Currican Hall house destruction show, and the rest just smashed up the house. It looks like parts of that.
It's also worth saying the whole thing. The first sort of I'd say 4 or 5 seconds are different shots of a spider monkey. It's not even of the wrestlers.
It's such a wonderful mess. It really is.
There's also one that I managed to isolate, which again, blink and you'll miss it. And it's like a 1980s high school yearbook photo of Sting. And there are two bored-looking women staring off camera wearing bikinis holding fireworks. It's absolutely bananas.
It's like the Firefly Funhouse. It's just all over the gap.
It's also, look, I'm going to say, this is a key relic. And finding that, I was just like, I cannot wait to screenshot this frame by frame and just share that with the world. Absolutely insane.
Giants, rulers, diamonds, flags, dogs, hearts, flyers, outsiders.
Plumbers, rabbits, mazes, monkeys, demons, dragons, evil, jungles, puzzles, barrels, bombs.
Stick it.
Stick it in your pocket. Stick it.
Worth mentioning as well, the monkey at the start very clearly has had its teeth extracted. Which is, I think it might be the Oz monkey. The poor Oz
monkey. R.I.P.
Oh, and then you are followed by, okay, lads, we can all relax. Here comes a great match. It's Mongo versus the Bulldog.
Mongo versus the Bulldog.
Never mind that shit. Here comes Mongo. This is the first WCW pay-per-view since 1993, Battle Bowl for Davey Boy Smith. You'll notice he's not actually called Davey Boy Smith here. He is the British Bulldog.
Yeah, confusing. So he must have come in like that, or did they just forget about the name, or how did that work?
Davey had managed to trademark the rights in a wrestling context to the British Bulldog.
Lovely.
So he was able to use it for the rest of his career wherever he went.
Why did he start wearing fucking blue jeans then?
Oh,
why did he start doing that?
It was the Attitude Era, you know.
You gotta wear blue jeans.
Your daddy's WWF British Bulldog.
He looks even more like a parochial working men's club stripper in
Yes,
jeans, doesn't he?
He's got an ultimate
horrible.
Chippendales tribute look about him in that run.
Massively.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Here, I mean, he is the Bulldog. He looks, I mean, a career worst, really.
He looks...
Oh,
he looks
red.
I mean, everyone on this pay-per-view is red because it's February and everyone's just trying to get as much kind of like sunbed work as possible. But like, people do look like pigs. They do look like big
Bulldog as well.
Pigs.
The weirdest thing about him is he looks like a knockoff of himself. He looks like a fairly decent tribute act to the Bulldog. He's got really ruddy, chubby cheeks, like he's from, you know, it's the Somerset Bulldog, and he looks like
he does look like a scrumpy drinker, doesn't he?
He does. He looks like a farmer's brother version of Chris Adams. My brother looks just like Chris Adams. And you see him, and you go, he's quite a big lad, isn't he? I don't remember Chris Adams being that well fed. His cape is also like, it's sort of too spangly, and the material is too thin, and it looks much too light, and his hair is wrong, and the cape also is a Union Jack, and it's got WCW printed on it, and that sense of you know, the Bulldog has totally sold out. The most important thing to him at Union Jack, you know, I represent my country. Yeah, you can put your company name on it. No problem.
Disrespecting.
It's got the word delight on flag. You know?
I guess British people do have a slightly different relationship with their flag than the Americans. Yeah. We don't care. But doing anything to American flag.
Imagine if Doug had come out for a British run and it had stamped on it All-Star Promotions Merseyside, right? There'd be people who'd see that and go, oh, disrespectful. And I looked at that and I don't know, it was a bit. It was just seeing WCW on it where I sort of go, oh, Davey, you love WCW, do you? Oh, you love Company Man. It was a bit heartbreaking.
I've just spent the last 5 minutes watching British Bulldog circa 1998 promos on the internet, and I don't think I remember the British Bulldog's work around about the years that were the pre-Attitude Era, like 1998 kind of vibe.
Yeah.
He seemed to be drunk quite a lot of the time, which didn't make his... I would think it would make his promos better because he'd be less trying
uptight.
to do what, less uptight,
second guessing,
things
less
right.
thinking about them. The reality is, you know, you just don't know what was really going. Well, you do slightly know what was going on in wrestling at that time, and that was a lot of uppers and downers, a lot of pain medication, and a lot of everything else, really.
Just a few weeks ago, of course, Alex Wright comes out pretty much out of nowhere and issues this challenge claiming to be the finest European wrestler. Of course, you have many years of experience on him. What went through your mind as you even saw that go down?
I saw it, but I don't believe it. The British Bulldog has been in wrestling for 20 years, since I was 15 years old. Alex Wright, you think you can beat the British Bulldog? You're wrong. If you want a chance of me, come on and take a piece of me.
And you can see with the Bulldog, you sent me that little link to that one. He's talking about Alex Wright. And even the Bulldog is surprised by how badly it's going.
Yeah.
And his eyes don't bulge so much as his eyebrows sort of do a Mexican wave of horror and shock when he begins stumbling over his words. But he was always very poor on the mic, Davey Boy Smith.
But the things I liked about when he cut a bad promo, was because he would find his way into saying something ridiculous. Like, he would always, in every promo, he'd say something stupid. He'd add a word in the wrong place. He'd add too many words of the same flavour, and it would be confusing. In this one, he does kind of say, I could do German style, I can do Japanese style, I can do British style. Yeah, I do strongman style. And then he goes, and that's why they call me the British Bulldog. That makes no sense.
Is there inherently a different style of wrestling? Is there something that you think you do that definitely has an advantage over his style?
Well, I can do the American style, I can do the Mexican style, I can do the strongman style, and I can do the German style. I can do any style of wrestling. That's why you call me the British Bulldog.
You would seem to have a power advantage.
Oh, greatly power advantage.
So many cut and shuts. He was the master, really, as well, of you going, I know what he's about to say. And then he'd say something wrong that would shock him and you. So it would be that thing about going, you and I, well, we're on collision course. And when we get together, well, we'll just have to cross that path when we're there instead of bridge when we come to it. Always slightly off.
Yeah.
But his inability to hide how badly it's going is really a unique talent that we just don't see enough of. Davey also just, when he's on the floor, he does a proper good Mancunian. He gets stamped on, he goes, oh! Like that.
Oh, you bastard.
It's funny, isn't it? He spent more of his life living in Canada and America than he did in Britain. But it's like it just didn't rub off on him at all.
No, probably because his promo style was just so... he was spending so much time concentrating on how to speak in his own accent that he never assimilated, because he never absorbed anybody else's, because he was so bad at talking anyway.
Yeah, I don't think he talked to a lot of people in 20 years.
No.
I think you just sort of go back and they go, hey, how you doing, Bulldog? And you go, up. Like that, and they'd walk on, and he'd just go, staring into the sort of mid-distance.
What are you drinking tonight, Bulldog? A pint. Pint.
Beer. Have beer. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, you have a good one. Okay, well, we'll see you later.
Who is shit in my bag? Who's done a shit in my bag? It's my tag team partner.
Do you? Someone done shit in his bag? Yeah, thank you, Davey.
It's Tom. Tom did it.
No one there. Just an empty arena. Davey, the idea's suddenly come to him to say Tom did it. But it's taken 7 hours. The whole place is just bolted up. He's fine, just stands there.
He's fine.
Stands there all night, just in the dark.
Drinking
happy.
some mild.
So someone will come and get him in a while, he thinks. You know.
Halt deine Klappe oder ich werde sie dir stopfen, dass du's weißt. You get me?
When you speak to me, speak in English. I don't speak German. Okay?
I mean, the crowd do not care for this match. There is complete and total apathy. And, really rightly, despite the fact that both of them are name wrestlers at this period, they don't really do very much to try and entertain the crowd or to give them much of a match. There's a bit where Mongo does a double axe handle, jumping off the ring apron to the floor where the Bulldog is. And it's so poor in execution. Tony Schiavone is mid-sentence and he just stops and there's 2 seconds of silence and then he just starts again from before. He could not believe how bad it looked.
Steve McMichael hovering over the man. There is no question that the British Bulldog has the experience advantage.
You can hear in that silence, you can really hear that he's sort of going, I've wasted my life doing this. Why am I talking about this silly sport? It's a proper good moment of abject horror from Schiavone in the silence. There is a big serious injury that happens in this match. They're fighting on the outside, and Mongo is ramming Bulldog into the railings, which is actually getting a little bit of connection with the crowd because it's noisy and it's very attitude era in it. Bulldog ducks as Mongo goes to hit the turnbuckle, and he broke his arm doing that. And almost like a weird sixth sense, the first move afterwards, Bulldog grabs the injured arm and smashes it into the ring steps. He then does that again. He then gets the arm, smacks it over the guardrail. I mean, the absolute worst 3 moves you could do after breaking your arm.
Yeah.
Mongo is just like, I'll go along with this. This is all right.
He's not even screaming.
No point does he scream. No point does he say, please not the arm. No whispering. No, not even sort of like flinching, just going back.
I heard arm. I will snap it.
In her arm. And Bulldog then throws Mongo. He gets his arm and he throws it when they're in the ring onto the turnbuckle. It's like 6 moves in a row, all on this arm, including ones like the one on the turnbuckle. No one's ever done that before. It didn't make any sense.
He's improvising because he knows he's broken his arm.
I don't think he even knows. I think he's just, it's like a dog level. You know how dogs have that sixth sense?
The ones who can smell cancer. He just
I want to get to bone. I can smell marrow.
Closer to the surface.
There is a bit where Mongo then goes for a tackle and his sort of arm does sort of buckle and he can't do his tackle. And at that point I was thinking, hang on, I've read he's broken his arm, but now I'm beginning to think, with all those moves, and then it goes a bit, I'm going, I've just been worked. This is nonsense. This is not broken at all. He then tries to pick up Bulldog for a tombstone pile driver. Can't do it because the arm is so bad. And then Bulldog gets on a Fujiwara armbar, which eventually the referee just goes, and I was suddenly like, what if this was just like an accident where he broke his arm? Why? At what point do they go, oh, and the Bulldog's new finishing move is the Fujiwara armbar? It just, it didn't make any sense.
It's the best bit of improvising he's ever done.
Yeah, I mean, if it was, but I was going, why did they book it? That you go and Bulldog will win with submission by the Fujiwara armbar, and you were like, oh right, well, I broke my arm, so that was. So I was like, no, this is all the big work. But then I did look at it, and Mongo was out for 4 months after this match, before his next match. So, but then sometimes, especially Mongo, who had, money from other sources as a former NFL player, everything, it's the sort of thing you just go, well, I do this for a laugh, but now I'm going away for 4 months and I'm going to have liposuction and my teeth done. And so I was like, I've read a lot of things about this pay-per-view and they're like, Mongo McMichael broke his arm with the Bulldog. Look at it going, this is all just wrestling stuff. Has everyone fallen for the wrestling stuff?
Yeah, because I read it was like an operation he had to go, but maybe it was just an operation because he'd broken his arm. I don't know what the...
Hair plugs.
Yeah.
It'll be hair plugs.
It's always
It'll be hair.
Turkey teeth and hair plugs. Yeah.
As soon as you make over a certain amount of money, the first thing you're doing is go, right, well, better get my hair plugs.
Yeah, better fortify the old noggin hair. Yeah. It's interesting because, he does go after
it must have been an angle. I mean, the very fact, this big debate that's been raging on in one of the worst matches of all time. Whoa, was it a legitimate break or not? No one cares.
It just look, if it was on the level and he had actually broken his arm, the Stu Hart training just kicked in and he just went after the weakest part of the body.
Go after it. You can do it. It's like an injured deer. You just go absolutely after it. It's also, though, if they did book it and it was an angle, then it's a bit weird that Mongo does not quit and he doesn't tap out.
No.
And afterwards, he's going, oh, for fuck's sake, it didn't even tap out. It's like, why can't we just have one match apart from Goldberg's
being normal
that just ends? That
ends
doesn't have
normally.
A little asterisk at the end, So British Bulldog beat Steve Mongo McMichael. Asterisk, reasons why.
Because Bulldog kind of after this, he has a terrible year, doesn't he? He properly goes off. He hurts himself later in the year.
Yeah, so he injures himself at Halloween Havoc 98, landing on a concealed trapdoor with his back, and then he gets all sorts of staph infections. And he's suing WCW, and then he goes to WWE and he's trying to have another run. It's interesting how they always wanted him, the big ones. And slightly there was that thing about, he'd left WWF following the Bret Hart Montreal Screwjob.
Yeah.
And he hadn't left quite immediately, but I think Bret Hart had said, oh, why don't you come over to WCW? And I think he'd left while his contract with WWF was still active, so he had to buy his way out of his WWF contract to go to WCW for, I believe, less money.
Right.
And then he was struggling, and as soon as the WWF were like, why don't we get him back? And that would really fuck off Bret Hart. He's just like, yeah, I will. It's just confusing. He has a confusing, never quite wanted. They pick him because he's hurting someone. That'll hurt Bret Hart. Or they go, nah, look, we've got him, and that makes, but nobody then knows really what to do with him. And he doesn't really know what to do with himself. And the last year's the Bulldog. I mean, you can see here, he does not look like the wrestler he was a year before.
No, and obviously it injures himself. And what surprised me is like looking at like the setup in 1998. How many pay-per-views they had?
Yeah.
Like WCW. They could have found a spot for him. Uncensored, Spring Stampede, Slamboree, Great American Bash, Bash at the Beach, Road Wild, Fall Brawl, Halloween Havoc, World War III, Starrcade. Is that normal for WCW? Was that normal for WWE at that time? It seems like a lot of pay-per-views.
WCW, they led the charge on increasing the number of pay-per-views. And so WWF had slightly sort of gone, well, we can try and match them by having these in-your-house mini pay-per-views and stuff like that. But the thing is, the industry was becoming hot. And when it becomes hot, they just go, people want this. The more pay-per-views we have, the less build-up we have to do to big shows, the more money we can make. Yeah. And so it's never changed now. It's never changed. You know, there's more pay-per-views than ever, more premium live events than ever. But there is a sense, I suppose, of everyone is treated a bit better than they were here. Here, they were just allowed to self-medicate, go bananas, drink on the job, argue with each other. They were lied to, and then they'd go out to the ring. It was just absolutely a mad time.
The Night Show girls were
Look at shit, somebody call security! Somebody get Dillinger! Let's go back to Lee and chat on the internet.
I will just say, it is nice to see Mongo McMichael. He's obviously been very, very unwell in recent years. He has ALS, which is a degenerative disease. But I watched a little documentary that was on his Twitter, which shows him hearing the news that he was voted in to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, something he'd always dreamed of and a number of his teammates were in. And it was just about him basically holding on throughout all of the things that were difficult to get this one honour. Anyway, he did get that honour and he did make it. But every time I see Mongo, young Mongo, I'm never going to say that's a 5-star match, but I do watch it and I do kind of go, good on him. Good on him. And I think about him now and I hope he can watch those matches and go, that was a laugh. I remember that was fun. I didn't have to work too hard. They paid me loads and I had a right fucking time. What a heroic man as well. I think, to publicise that sort of illness and knowing its inevitable outcome, just a remarkable man. And I would urge you to have a look and see the bit where he finds he's in the Hall of Fame. It is a moving little ting. An unannounced match, Petey. An unannounced match.
Why was it unannounced? You think they'd want to announce this one, wouldn't they?
I think it might have been that it was a replacement for the Larry Zbyszko versus Louie Spicolli match that was cancelled after Spicolli's death.
Difficult.
And you suddenly realise what those little bits that history hangs on as well, don't you? Which is they had Goldberg here. They were doing his crush everyone streak. And at no point did they go, that guy could go on the pay-per-view. It was only when they had a gap that they were like, shit, we need something to fill it. And someone goes, oh, I don't know. I suppose that Goldberg thing, that doesn't take long if that will help out. And they go, yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Everything that happens that's wonderful is just a total hit and hope, total chance, isn't it, really? And we end up with Goldberg versus Brad Armstrong. I mean, a really fun match to watch, where every other match is between sort of 9 and 20 minutes long. Yeah. Sometimes it's nice to just have a short little match where you go, that was great.
Give me old Muscle McBlinky and just get him out, get the sparks out, get him to squash somebody, and we can all go home sooner. I like that.
What we like. The funny thing is, you say that as well about like Muscles McBlinky. He is he's unchangeable, Goldberg. He looks the same at the end of his run as he did when he came in, give or take a few years. But what he didn't have is he didn't have a different gimmick. He didn't come in, with a different body shape. He didn't have dreads. He looks like Goldberg on day one, and then he continues being Goldberg.
Goldust did try and put a wig on him that time.
He did. He did slightly sort of one of those disastrous moments that is seen as being a real disaster, but at the time, it didn't feel that massive. They were just, it was basically he put the wig on and Goldberg was a bit like, I think you ought to take the wig off. And everyone was like, you knew they'd do it. You knew they'd ruin Goldberg. And it's actually, if you go back, I don't think it was quite as...
No, I
went out in it.
It just got suggested in my YouTube.
My name is Judith. It didn't happen. He just put a wig on for a bit and went, no.
Don't do that. And Goldust learned a lesson about, consent, didn't he?
Well, he heard a lesson about consent. Goldust cannot... Goldust doesn't fit in with your human rules of engagement.
Exactly. Yeah, all of his questions are like quantum questions, aren't they? Yes,
Exactly.
no, maybe. So they're all happening at the same time.
Oh, you think sexuality exists solely on a human plane? He says, becoming a massive, huge sort of floating phallus creature. It's amazing to watch it. Amazing. Chrysanthemum just full of tits. Well done, Goldberg. This match is, they really do hype it, and they're sort of going, it's unannounced, but you're going to love this, you're going to love this. And it is funny seeing Goldberg do the Goldberg stuff in 1998, as he would always, and it not being quite over at this point. People are like, well, this is good, but they don't know. They don't know what's happening, and they don't know where this big steamroller is going. And Brad Armstrong comes out. Poor old Brad Armstrong, always around, never pushed, never going to break out of being in this sort of role. He's got his own airbrush T-shirt made as well, and I have a feeling that was something he did himself. And like at Watford Market, you used to get those. You could have one.
You see him in the territories doing promos and stuff, and my God, you can just tell the ones aren't going to go anywhere. It's amazing, isn't it? Scared cat kind of like, I'm going to do a big wrestling match now, and if you better watch out. And you're like, oh God.
I do sometimes think this, and I do think, is there anyone in wrestling who didn't make it? And you look at them and you go, that guy really should have made it. And the reality is, no. There just isn't. It's so bizarre. There might be someone who, they died young, or they didn't get the push within WWE that you felt they should at the time, or whatever. But there's very few people you look at and they go, he could have been a star everywhere, but it just never happened. Wrestling, there's never been anyone good who didn't make it to the top.
It's true. It is a meritocracy. It's a meritocracy, Mark.
You watch Goldberg, and he is so sort of, we know the story now, so when you watch these matches, they make much more sense than when you watched them back then. And you just went, who's this slightly uncharismatic bloke who's massive doing futuristic MMA? They never does some good rolly moves, but they were sort of more advanced than MMA was in 1998.
Yeah.
You look at them now and you go, it looks sort of pathetic and silly. It looks like taekwondo learned in a gym that wouldn't really work in real life. But at the time, it was a bit like, this sloppy MMA is devastatingly exciting. And he does some great moves. He does a really, really good overhead pump handle suplex, which Brad Armstrong as well, a good base for this sort of thing. A lighter man, he throws himself around. A very unselfish performer, as in he knew what his job was and that level he was at. And he does that spear, and that spear, my God, it's just incredible. It just, Goldberg's spears in 1998 is just, he runs through people like a bull running through Spanish men running down a cobbled street when he finally manages to turn on one, and suddenly there's a moment where the bull just goes, fucking got ya. Goldberg's like that, just such a thumping great lump, a brute of a man, and that spear, I mean, even watching it all these years later, you just go, I don't think anyone ever did the spear better than Goldberg does.
No, because he's a big NFL guy, and he's obsessed with being an NFL man, and he wanted to be an NFL man and didn't make it as an NFL man, so now we have to watch him do spears. Good ones, though.
Yeah. Goldberg, there is the, obvious knock on him, which is that, he wasn't that into pro wrestling. He didn't really have great sort of psychology. And when he was at the sort of top level, his matches were very one note and everything. The 5-minute matches he does, I can watch them day after day after day after day. Absolutely loved them. Loved them. This will turn into a very, very big year for Goldberg, and they will do just an astonishing quick climb, which must have really annoyed people like Luger and DDP and everyone who were really trying to find their feet and get over. But there we go. That's what happens. If you're good, you rise. No one who's not been good has ever not risen. That's the way it works. Don't complain to me. Complain to wrestling. Tony Schiavone then does a thing about, he does a mea culpa. He kind of goes, I have told you a lot through this show that we are going to hear from the Giant. And he then lists all the times that he said it in the last 3 hours. And then he has to say, but because of problems with flight connections, the Giant won't make it to the Cow Palace tonight.
Then early in this program, I said, the Giant will be here and we'll hear from him. I was handed a note moments ago near the end of that match that because of problems with flight connections, the Giant will not be able to make it here to the Cow Palace tonight. His plane will not land here in California in time. But we do understand we will hear from the Giant tomorrow night at Nitro.
He can't make it. Why wouldn't you lie?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you say there's been some kind of backstage thing? We're trying to get an update on it. You can't just go, I had flight problems, It's not good enough. He should have got there earlier.
The giant heading for the cow palace does sound like a nursery rhyme.
I bet he'd have loved to been in a cow palace.
Yeah.
Thinking of I bet he thought about Desperate Dan's cow pies when he heard it. I can picture myself.
Got real
a lovely
horns
cow
in it.
pie. Nom, nom, nom. And I'd like 2. Oh, greedy.
What a shit.
The Macho Man, Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth taking on Lex Luger in a no disqualification match. Little bit of trivia here. I think this is one of the first major where do they stand in the NWO angles, where the person in the match doesn't know whether they're in the NWO or out, and that means they just spend most of the match looking up the ramp to see if they're about to be sneak attacked, which is really distracting and annoying. I hate it. Luger comes out bandaged up.
Dirty old belly bandage.
Round his tum-tum.
What does a stomach injury look like? Surely they don't do that.
If it's inside, bandage is not going to help.
They even use Luger's got some intestinal fortitude. It's like, well, he clearly hasn't. Look at his dirty
he has, but
belly.
It's sloshing into his abdomen. They are obsessed, WCW. They think if our guys look beaten, then they're like heroic and they're full of valor, and this is a tough sport. But it just looks like everyone they have is really damaged and broken and sort of sickly. And it's in the WWF, everyone is a superhero, and here they're like outpatients. And it's the other thing.
We're taking these wrestlers who've left the WWE and we're patching them up as best we can.
We don't look after them like the other ones do.
They didn't come with a manual. We left them in the sun.
They said they had different food, but our food's all right. It's not good. You would look at it and you go, but it's a classic wrestling trope. The hero comes in with an injury, and that is a point of attack. But the problem with this is the stomach area is just too big. So whatever Savage does at any point, Luger is like, fucking hell.
Stomach,
Jesus. He gives him a punch. He goes, my ribs. He gives him a kick. He's like, my tummy and ribs. There's one bit where he throws him in the ropes, and Luger's just like, I can't do that. And it's
why is he even in the ring? You can't run the ropes. What's wrong with you? But it affected the quality of the match because it was just punches and kicks.
They mention at one point, they sort of go, Randy Savage has got a very one-dimensional attack tonight. And it's like, well, he's slightly limited because every time he fucking touches Luger's going, belly, big bum belly. They hamper the ability of these two to have anything resembling a decent match. It's such a pain. There's also, they've made this no disqualification, but there's only 2 things that Savage does in the whole of the match that would count as disqualifiable. One is he jabs Luger in the side with a chair. He does a little jab. He goes, and again, fuck, not my fucking ribs.
Leave off.
And there's a bit where he just slaps the referee for no reason. The referee comes near him and he just goes like that. And it's so funny. You just sort of go, you didn't use this idea in any way other than to sort of go, and tell you what, Randy, if you like, just punch the referee in the head. If I was in a no DQ match, the first thing I'd do, before the bell went, I'd just go for the ref. Just absolutely tear his eyes apart.
Pull on his hair.
I've been waiting for this for ages.
No DQ.
Just stamping on his back. Yeah.
Big dog food in his
Luger,
mouth.
help me. Quickly. It's open door on the ref. Let's have it. Luger gets Savage up in the torture rack, and Elizabeth then goes for Luger's eyes. A sort of rare bit of Liz getting involved. And then suddenly the NWO run down, and Savage and Luger both fight them off. And then in this no disqualification match, some fucking idiot rings the bell. He rings the bell. And
idiots.
The worst thing you can do, because the crowd are just like, what's happened? What's happened?
You can't unring the bell. You just can't,
You can't unring the bell. So everyone's like, what's happened? You think Savage and Luger are going to work together to fight them off, which would have been a better plan of action. And instead what happens is Luger gets Savage up in the rack, and the referee just sort of shakes his arm, and the bell, I don't think, rings again.
Right.
And the commentators also don't know or care what's going on, and they say nothing about it. The only person who tells you how this match ends is Hulk Hogan, who is at ringside now, and he's going, I'm glad you got beat. I'm glad you got beat. You go, if Hogan is the most professional man in an entire show. This has not gone well. The crowd do not like it when they say Lex Luger has won either, which is... The bell ruined it for them because it was just confusing and it was a big mess. And you can see that for Luger, this was supposed to be part of him being the number one babyface, you know, the guy behind Sting. And he is furious about how this has all turned out. Absolutely furious. He's so annoyed, you can tell it's not storyline annoyed, because he comes out of the ring and they show him leaving and he flexes his pecs, and suddenly past him walks the WCW head of security, Doug Dellinger. And as Dellinger walks by, Luger just spits in his face. He just goes, turns his head and spits like that and looks absolutely furious.
Who does spit in security?
You don't. What you notice as well is when they do the replay of it, they cut off just before he does the spit. And so it's not part of a storyline or ongoing thing. Oh, Luger's so furious. They are just like, he just spat in his face.
Yeah, I reckon Doug would probably beat the shit out of Luger. He's only a fake strong man, isn't he?
In fairness, Doug Dellinger was, I mean, he was probably 65 if he was a day. He'd been doing that job for ages.
Right.
Don't know why, with all these tough men around.
Yeah,
you were like, what we need to get is someone who looks like an oboe teacher to be head of security. Maybe like to calm situations down. He certainly doesn't react to being spat at in the face.
No.
So he's probably quite good at his job.
Don't spit on me. It's just a game. What are you...
Oh, here we go.
Just
Potion
like to read
motion.
the sonnet in true Bulldog style.
Should I compare thee to a sunburst at night? Thou art more lovely and more temperate.
Keep going.
Yeah,
Go on.
there's more.
You'll get away with that.
Shakespeare.
You'll get away with
Yeah, he
that.
wrote quite a bit,
The
actually.
British Bulldog always loves his wrestling fans, and I'll always love thee. Straight
That's
from the
Act
British
5,
Bulldog's
Scene 4 in Hamlet.
right from Goulburn.
Great quote. There you go. Thanks to Mr. Shakespeare for those lines. Cheers, Mr. Bulldog.
Wrestle me, Mark.
Wrestle me, Peter! That sort of excitement can be yours for just a few quid if you head over to our Patreon. We've got loads of stuff up there. We've just done AEW All In. We're just starting on WCW StarrCade 99. And there are plenty of nudes and rude videos for you to enjoy. So get over there, get off YouTube, stop living your life outside Patreon when you could be living it inside. That's a phrase I've come up with off the top of my head. Not confident it worked.
I hear it's rather good.